Well, well, well. So it is me, Billy the Kid. Probably the first time I'm actually like showing my face on camera. Um, Mainly because nobody wants to see my ugly ass, but also I'm switching things up. By the way, got a new microphone. So today is going to be me discussing actually third rail. I have a fellow by the name of Matthew Taylor. I got my notes here. Yeah, I'm actually trying for once in my life. He's actually got a question. He commented on my H10B video. He's thinking about pre-ordering one of the Northerns that Sunset Models is putting out. And, the price point of it, $2,700. That's a lot for a locomotive. And, he had one question about price obviously is a big one. But, keep in mind, we're talking about a brass, high detail brass model here. If you've seen my H10B video, there are some nitpicks, especially for the price point that I've had. The lack of firebox flicker is one of those. Mainly because, MTH and Lionel have been doing firebox flicker now for quite some time. I can understand in the older models, but, it's, 2025. I think if we're going to be throwing down that kind of dosh, maybe you can end up putting, a little LED in there to simulate a firebox flicker. I don't know. The sound is adequate. It's acceptable to an extent. Obviously, I'd rather have, better sound. As much as I think everybody gives Lionel shit, the TMCC sounds, they work. They're not great. But I think you're going to see third rail kind of or Sunset Models, I should say. If I say Sunset Models, third rail, Golden Gate Depot, they're the same company, okay? They're all the same company. But generally, it's all under the umbrella of Sunset Models. But, I think with third rail, you're going to start seeing maybe them move away from TMCC, because let's be honest, TMCC in a $2,300 locomotive is kind of silly. Just saying, it's a little silly. Let alone a $2,700 locomotive. Even though this is going to be a very highly detailed model, it's going to be a gorgeous model. But, I do think they probably can step up and maybe, talk to MTH, put Protosound 3 in them. Something of that nature. Atlas is doing that now. Atlas is, kind of working with MTH, and they're putting PS3 in their models. So why not third rail? But one big concern he did have was pulling power. Now, I did go over this in my H10B video. The pulling power is not great. Again, keep in mind, you're talking about a brass model. This doesn't have the same weight as a die-cast model. The little Camelback here probably can pull a lot more cars than the H10B. I've yet to do a pulling power test, but from just cars alone, I was able to pull around 15 cars with the H10B video of various sizes and various weights, and it pulled it. I did start out on a straightaway. I didn't start on a curve. So it did have a little bit of time to build some momentum. The pulling power issue also, I think, has to do with their drive system. For some reason, Sunset Models uses a really weird drive system. They call it a quiet drive system. It's the way it works is you have your motor parallel with the frame of the locomotive, and then on the output shaft of the motor, there's a pulley, and that pulley connects to the drive gear of the actual drive wheels via a belt. I could see this over time, hopefully not, 6 months out of the box. I could see this, deteriorating. Your car's belt eventually deteriorates. It starts getting cracks in it. Once your belt starts getting cracks, like the serpentine belt in your car, if you see your serpentine belt getting cracks, generally that means you should replace it. And for good reasons. Your car needs that serpentine belt. You don't want to mess up timing and all that. So kind of the same thing with the Sunset Models. And also, these are really high-end models. I think most people out there would be very cautious opening up these models to kind of work on them. You kind of do need to know what you're doing. There's only really one person I know who does work on third rail that I can actually, contact, and that's Sid from Sid's Trains. Also, for you two-rail guys out there, they're actually putting Blue Nami in the two-rail versions. Now, you can technically put Blue Nami in a three-rail version, although that kind of requires a little bit of extra work. That would require, some other electrical stuff to be done. Sometimes three-rail is don't get me wrong, I love three-rail. It's obviously the most realistic, set of rails out there. But sometimes we get screwed over. It would be a lot easier if we just had DCC, but we don't have that luxury. But I definitely, would I recommend it? Would I recommend getting a Sunset model? If you can spend the money, if you have the money, all right? I'm going to be clear. If you have the money, you look in the Lionel catalog, which I'll get to in a different video, by the way. If you have the money, you look at the catalog, the Lionel catalog, you say, well, there's nothing there. I don't really like anything in there. Then sure. And if it's your only purchase for that period of time. I think Jay said, because Jay was actually on Joker's stream a little while ago. You could look at the video of Joker, or Zach, Joker's Trains, aka Zach, talking to Jay about Sunset Models. They go over the catalog, so that's nice. I'll link that video in the description below. I really do recommend you look at them. Sid, I believe, was also on Joker stream this past Sunday. He shows up about 50 minutes into the stream. And again, Sid knows his stuff. He knows how to upgrade stuff. He knows how to tune them. These third rail models, they work a lot better if you tune them, but you kind of need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you end up with a really expensive looking paperweight. And I'm certainly not that intelligent to be taking apart, a model like that. What do I think? If you want to spend the money, again, it's your money. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, your hard-earned money. Me personally, I looked at the Lionel catalog and thoroughly disappointed. But for third rail or Sunset models, Sunset models, I've decided to actually order two steam locomotives. They faked this out, gentlemen. I thought the H10B video, or the H10B locomotive was going to be the only the last steam locomotive. It's not. They're rerunning the Mollies, so I'm ordering, of course, 475 in the Strasbourg livery, the 2000s version. I went on it as a kid. It was the first Strasbourg locomotive I rode on, so yeah, that's why I'm kind of getting it. I know Strasbourg is like a step up above Thomas. I don't really care. It's my layout. I'm going to run whatever I want on it. And the other one I'm going to get is the Timken Northern, the green one. Mainly because, one, I like green, and two, I can run anything on it. Now, I do think the third rail locomotives are probably going to run a lot better with like Golden Gate Depot cars, the Sunset models, freight cars, passenger cars, mainly because they have a better quality control on them. You're talking about roller bearing trucks. So, like with, for instance, this Lionel 21-inch passenger car, the quality control on this, I don't really consider it as valuable as opposed to like a Golden Gate Depot passenger car. By the way, I did order those passenger cars, the 20th Century Limited ones from Golden Gate Depot. My wallet is not happy with me, but I don't care. But like, you're gonna see a much better, smoother running train. You're gonna see this is like, it doesn't really roll as free. Like, see, it's like rubbing up against the truck frame. And I don't know, I'm just kind of sick of it at this point. And, keep in mind, Golden Gate Depot's passenger cars, the seats are painted, the tables are painted, you got figures in there. It's extruded aluminum instead of plastic. The doors all probably open on the Golden Gate Depot ones. That's what you're getting. Like, the price is extremely high, but you're getting that quality. And I think that's what people really appreciate. But Matthew Taylor, he actually asked about the Third Rail Northern. He's, I believe, getting the Northern Pacific version. And he wants to run about 20 to 25 livestock and meat-filled reefers. I think that is actually doable. If it's like similar size cars, the cars don't weigh as much, I think, and they're smooth like rollers, you're probably going to be fine. I think you'll be able to actually run those, hopefully. But again, as I said before, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. But I would recommend, if you do get it, start on a straightaway. And keep in mind, these are brass. They're not die-cast metal, so you don't have that weight sitting on the drivers. I wish you did, but you don't. Or I wish there was some sort of weight on the drivers to help for grip. But you don't have that. I'm going to try to figure out how to do pulling tests. So that way I can get like a clear picture of how many pounds can it pull. So it's all a learning experience, but I wanted to give my little 2 cents into what I'm getting from this newly released catalog from Sunset Models. And if you ask me, I think I'm making the right choice because the Lionel catalog really doesn't have anything I want. I was thinking about getting the superset, the Santa Fe superset, but the price on that is a little insane. But you're probably thinking, well, what about the prices for the Golden Gate Depot stuff or the Sunset Model stuff? Yeah, it's a bit pricier, but you know that you're getting that quality, and I personally don't think Lionel's quality control justifies the high price. My main concern is the quality control. Like, I don't mind, like, I didn't mind that these were made of plastic, these 21-inch passenger cars. I don't mind that they're made of plastic. I don't mind that there's no figures in there. I don't mind that the tables and chairs aren't painted. What I do mind is the quality control at the Lionel factory is substandard. I mean, we as consumers should ask Lionel to up their quality control. Make sure the quality control is more than substandard. You know, I mean, these aren't exactly toy trains anymore. These are genuine models. You know, we as consumers, I think, deserve to have the best quality that Lionel can produce. And, you know, keep in mind, Lionel is the biggest name in O-Gauge. You know, like, yeah, you have MTH. They kind of downsized because Mike Wolf decided, oh, I want to, you know, retire for some reason. But, you know, rather than just hand the company over to somebody and stay on as, like, the founder, maybe get, like, a stipend, like a 5% stipend every year, he sold, like, stuff to Lionel. That's how the Lionel's got the triplex tooling. He sold stuff to Atlas. Luckily, MTH is working with Atlas now. But if you ask me, I think, you know, Lionel has gotten too complacent, and that itself is an issue. That to me is the issue, and I think we should vote with our wallets. You know, like, hey, we're not going to order these high price items if you're going to keep making, you know, bad product or bad quality products. You know, we want better gauge wire in our locomotives so that way they don't fry as easily. We want a little bit longer wiring so they don't get pulled and, you know, pinched and, you know, get broken. We want the paint to be correct. I don't even know what the heck I just tried saying there. You know, we want the wheels to roll smoothly. Like, you know, Lionel, you've been in the game for 125 years. I would think you know what to do. Right? I mean, am I the only one thinking that? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm the only idiot here. Who knows? But you know, when you purchase Sunset model, you're going to get good quality. You know, like, again, the only problem I've had with my H10B, other than my little nitpicks, was during shipping, the fireman ladder broke off. Able to glue that back into place, looks good as new, and I got to replace the traction tire. That's it. Other than that, it runs perfectly fine. So, hopefully this kind of explains my reasonings for pre-ordering these two locomotives from Third Rail. I think it's a good decision, and I like high-quality models, and Third Rail has not, you know, steered me wrong. I've never had a problem with them. They... You know, Jay literally went on Joker's stream, and again, I'll put that video in the description below for you guys to check that out. And he seems pretty open to getting ideas, getting feedback from the community. And I think that's what we should expect in this hobby. Like, we are the community of this hobby. I think if we give feedback, and constructive feedback, not just saying this sucks and leave it at that, but actual constructive criticism, and, you know, explain our gripes, they'll listen. I wish Lionel would do that. But then again, I'm just some guy in my basement who forgets to put out videos. What can you do? Anyways, I got my Mercury running. I'm going to finish up the Mercury video. I'm going to put this video out first because this is me just rambling. But I'm going to put the Mercury video out afterwards. Probably, hopefully next week, I got to get some B-roll shots because I want to run a little bit of it in the end. Get some shots of it at night, to show off the lights by the drivers. But yeah, other than that, see you in the next video. Later.